Marty LeBlanc at Lincoln County High School with the Robotics After School program.
Good morning, everybody. So far, it's great to hear about all the projects. I wish all your kids were coming to me because they're getting that CAD and everything, the coding young. I love those Turing tumbles. Those are going to have to come to my high school kids to help them with their binary. That'd be great. We do have our Lincoln County Schools Robotics After School program, which again is still growing thanks to SteadTrain. We really appreciate it. I hate that we lost Andy this year. He was just a world of information. And I know after, I think it was 2 years ago when we all met, I sat down and I talked with him for quite a while, just a wealth of information, sent me information on the spectrum, which we still use today. So that's fantastic. If you go to the next slide and get started. Okay, so the success of the project and how it's measured, our students use the knowledge and skills to compete in robotics competitions. And of course, if you're familiar with robotics, they incorporate everything for the whole business model. So the writing skills, the CAD, sales presentations, branding, engineering notebooks, presentations, and they're building, robots and coding the robots. And then we further evaluate the program because we follow our students' grades. We've had a lot of kids have issues, of course, with the COVID stuff. In Tennessee, we've been very fortunate. We've actually been in the classroom teaching with students the full year. The first half of the year, we had probably about a third of our students were virtual. So all of our classrooms were mixed and we were teaching virtually and in class, and we had to incorporate all of our cameras, and it's just been an absolute crazy year, which the kids have learned from that too. But I've had the luxury of having my kids at school. And when you have an after-school robotics group like mine, like I said, I'm very fortunate because my kids want to be there and they have not let COVID stop them. What has been a big change, problems, of course, COVID's made a huge difference. So we had to change with our best competitions. We used to be with the Decatur hub, and they shut down the hub this year. They just didn't have enough people to compete. So we ended up going and joining Muscle Shoals. A lot more teams to compete against, but our kids, they reached out. We still set up, we're fortunate enough to have a big building. We set up the competition fields, and our kids ended up placing 4th overall for the best award. And one of the good things with that particular competition, again, they're still doing everything just like they would for normal competitions. They're still utilizing all the kits. And thank goodness we were able to get more robotics kits this year because we had more kids wanting to participate. And if we hadn't had all the extra robotics, we used the grant to get more VEX kits. And our kids just really excel by changing things around and getting their hands on the robotics. We brought in more people this year than we expected. Competition-wise, we had to set up full fields, and our kids competed, and they actually had to go above and beyond because of the virtual aspect of the competitions. Our project will continue growing yearly with the purchase items. Our kids take very good care of their robotics equipment, and I know we look at 5 years out, but these can last a lot longer. We'll be replacing batteries and stuff, but we're going to be utilizing the items from SteadTrain for a lot longer than 5 years. Benefits to our students, they gain the ability to create, design, innovate, and think critically in order to solve complex challenges. They're learning essential skills to be successful in their career futures. And, over at the high school, we bring in all these different companies to talk to our kids and explain, do virtual tours and stuff of their corporations. As an example, we had Toyota in yesterday, and they did a virtual tour, and my kids were coming up, and the comments they made about, did you see all the robots in there? Those are robots like we can build in the shop, and they're wanting to simulate some of the ones that are on the line, and they can do that because of the products from VEX and stuff that we've gotten with SteadTrain. So the kids are seeing the realistic. We're working hands-on with our robotic stuff, and we can put it right into our futures working for these big companies down the road and have good paying jobs and be engineers. The beneficial professional development, I've continued learning coding through various platforms, and at the time I wrote this, I was participating in Python tutorials. I have finished my Python tutorials, and I'm going to add that to my kids for next year, and we're going to switch over coding with Python. I think that'll be a really good change for just the kids to add something else to their knowledge base. You can go to the next slide. Okay, here's some of our photos. And like I said, in Lincoln County up here, we've been fortunate. We've still been able to sneak out and go share robots with the community. The little picture in the middle, you can see we have a trailer and we have our Stead Train logo on there. So whenever we go out, we load up our stuff in the trailer and we take it around. We do visit schools, and they've allowed us to do that still. So that's a great outreach for us. So we still managed to share with community members, and you can see some of the kids sharing with the Kiwanis in the upper left. The lower left, that's funny. We have kids going down to 5th grade involved in our after-school programs, and of course they love the coding, and you can see the frustration on the face. They had fun and they did figure it out, but trying to code the VEX bots is a good training point for our kids. Of course, we try to tie in everybody. We had a meeting in our building, and superintendent, he's actually very involved with our kids, and he loves the robotics program and where we're taking it, because we're still growing and building, and our outreach, even with COVID, we're still reaching out to all of our feeder schools and out to the community. Hands-on learning, of course, robotics is all about hands-on learning. And again, with the grant from Stead Train, we were thankfully able to get some more robotics equipment so the kids, can actually work more with it. And the cleaning of parts is really, really hard with the COVID. So we've had to do like an overall mist spray. When the kids leave, we just hit it on there. And of course, I know if you're looking at pictures, you're probably thinking, where are the masks? Well, we're in Tennessee and they're not required. And a lot of kids refuse to wear them. I know that's not the safest thing to do, but we've done very well with it. Actually, I think our kids are all immune at this point. So, and then, of course, we do Zoom outreach. The kids we couldn't reach by actually going to them, we were doing Zoom outreach meetings to share information and talk to kids about STEM programs and show them some of the robots and stuff so that they could still participate. Next slide. Okay, so the impacts from the robotics program show a substantial increase in the STEM interest, with participants being significantly more likely to show gains in interest in STEM careers, and in understanding in the STEM areas. As anticipated, our robotics students made gains in communication skills, presentation skills, conflict resolution, time management skills, and problem-solving skills, as well as in STEM. Our students have also improved their skill levels in studying math, science, through participating in robotics. The students involved in the Lincoln County programs worked with Lincoln County feeder school teachers in their classes to share what they've learned through STEM, working with robots. They conducted student-led STEM activities with younger students, and through this outreach, we've reached over an additional 200 students. And the picture on there, that was one of the days. Like I said, they did let us go out and see other schools. So we took some kids and we went over to Holland Rim, which is one of our feeder schools in that current picture, and we worked with those kids on STEM projects. A couple of the other things we're doing along with our program this year with the COVID-19 changes. I don't know how many of you are familiar with the FIRST Robotics program, but FIRST Robotics still had the robots. Kids built the robots. They did skills competitions. They did a lot of autonomous this year, which included tons of extra coding, which the kids were learning from working on the VEX bots and working with Python. So we were able to incorporate more of that information into our first competition. They also opened up a first innovation competition that's sponsored by Qualcomm, I believe, and our kids have just advanced to the semifinals, which is like a national competition, and they're competing to get into the top 20 global innovation challenge. So keep your fingers crossed, and hopefully we'll find out May 7th if they advance on that. So just the opportunities that our kids have in Lincoln County with the help of SteadTrain, just pushing the STEM, giving them opportunities that they wouldn't have otherwise had. We're in a rural community, and a lot of kids just don't have the opportunities outside of school. So the more we can give them at school, the better off we're going to be. But thank you again to SteadTrain for supporting our teams. We've applied for next year as well, and we're just going to continue to build and grow and reach our kids in Lincoln County. Thanks for all your help. Appreciate it.